Hello and welcome to Wellness Circuit.
where real stories create profound impact.
I'm Sudha.
And I'm Shobha. We are so glad you are here.
So, Shobha, we're calling this webcast the Wellness Circuit. Why even call it a circuit,
Yeah, good question. Because life isn't linear,
right?
everything is connected.
Right?
We talk about food, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about our health, including technology. All of it is connected. So when there is so many connections, we know it's all going to be part of one single circuit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And being the technology space ourselves and as engineers, we know that when a circuit breaks and when it gets disrupted, it can affect in any part of the circuit, any part down the line or up the line or whatever it is, or sometime in the pipeline, and so is our body too. So that's what I see, that our body too is part of this circuit. So what else do you have to
True,
add?
true, yeah. So I think that is exactly the reason why we have this podcast. When there is a disruption, we want to understand why there is a disruption, and it is about understanding those connections through real life experiences, not just theories that is floating around. And that's exactly why we want this podcast for real life experiences.
Very nice. So today, as we wanted to start with something very personal to share what we want, what we with our personal stories, both Shobha and I will start with our own personal stories, not with what celebrities state about their what we should be doing and what we should be eating and how many steps we should be making every day. We're going to be sharing our personal stories on how we made certain changes in our lives, how what happened, what triggered those changes in our lives, etc. So stay tuned for the next couple of weeks as we.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think the idea there is we wanted to start with something personal, as you said, our stories, because before advice
Comes.
comes experience, and before expertise comes lived reality. And unless we talk to people who have lived through reality, who have lived through these experiences, it is going to be just theories floating around there. And so that's exactly why we need a podcast where people can share their personal stories and bring it
Absolutely.
all together in the circuit, as you said.
Absolutely. There's so many theories that are floating around in our community, especially from non-doctors, everything. And I think what is the need of the hour is people stories, personal stories from people like Shobha and myself, and a lot more people from the community who have had many problems, who have had health issues, and who have overcome it with their own personal experiences. And that is what you're going to be hearing from us in the next couple of weeks, maybe months, etc.
For me, my journey with wellness didn't start as a choice, it started as a necessity. There were moments in my life where I had to stop and ask deeper questions, not just what is happening, but as to why it is happening. I found myself researching a lot. I found myself seeking answers and sometimes even challenging what I was told by the doctors, so on and so forth. As you might know, Sudha, and I think I want to tell it to the whole world that I did go through multiple health hurdles in my life, including cancer and a kidney transplant. I have even written a book on it. But what I have realized during all my health journey, tying it back to the wellness circuit that we were talking about, and as I said, it is about real lived experiences. I found that it is about being informed, being aware, being curious, and being willing to question. That is a form of self care. Wellness for me today is not just about being healthy, it's about being aware. It is about being intentional, in being in control of your own life.
My journey has been slightly different. After working in the corporate world for over 25 years, my health started showing some signs of deterioration, and I realized, and slowly and steadily, my health was falling apart. And I thought it's time for me to find a balance. And one fine day, I thought I should leave this corporate world and focus on my health. And rapidly and steadily, my health was taking a toll on my health and my family as well. And today, I realized that what's more important is to find a balance between health and my life and my personal life too. And so today, I found a sweet spot to focus on my health.
There are advice everywhere, social media, articles, podcasts, but often what's missing, I think, Sudha, is context. What worked, what didn't, and what did it feel like? Because there are a lot of things floating around everywhere. There is a lot of misinformation, a lot of
Absolutely.
disinformation, and people who have actually lived through such experiences never talk about it because there is a lot of taboo as well out there in the
So
society,
true, so true.
right? And so that's why I think, but what we believe is in stories, because stories carry nuances, they carry the truth. And that is what is more important, and which is the reason for this podcast.
So, Shubha, how are we going to be different from other stories or social media stories? And what can we expect? What can the listeners expect from the wellness
Yeah, I
circuit?
think, yes, we have to make it clear out there
Right.
because we are going to hear conversations on food, on health, on lifestyle, wellness, and even tech. But the most important point is it is all going to be through the lens of real life experiences. And we want to focus each episode on a particular person who has gone through a certain lived experience, have gone through some adversity.
Absolutely.
We are going to have guests, as you
Yeah.
know.
So
Yeah.
we're going to have guests and we're going to be sharing their stories. We personally, we're going to be sharing our own stories. And more importantly, we're going to be very honest with our personal stories, our personal health journeys that we've gone through. And we're going to make it very simple. And it's not going to be just somber stories that we talked about. We're going to be talking about the challenges that we went through and how we overcame our stories and health challenges. What are the health challenges we went through, and how did we overcome all that, etc.
True. See, I think our podcast is going to be about just stories from various guests, more than us, I would say. And if you or anyone you know has gone through some kind of health adversity and want to share your story, please feel free to reach out to us. And we are going to have guests, and we'll no perfection, no preaching. It's going to be honest, simple stories. So, Sudha, let's do one thing. Let's end with something simple. Let's have one thought each. I'm going to share my thought. My belief system is you don't have to accept everything that is told to you. You can always ask why. That is my belief system. What is yours?
Mine is going to be simple, straightforward changes in my life.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to share both the belief systems, and we are going to be working on that in our circuit podcast. I'm hoping to see a lot more folks. You're going to have one guest every week who is going to share his or her story and the adversity that came through. Once again, it's not going to be a sob story, it is going to be inspirational, it is going to help us all.